Hello Taurus babies, welcome to your reading for the month of April with me, Joey the Starry-Eyed Hedge Witch and the Green Witch Oracle and your plant spirit for the month. We're going to be having a look at which plant spirit is going to stand you in good stead, which you can connect to, what's going to bring you wisdom, comfort, good divinational energies this month. Well Taurus, let's have a look-see. Ooh, you got apple. Continuance. The fruits are all in the water section, so that's kind of interesting for you guys. And I'll have some extra thoughts on apple as well because it's associated with Avalon. The quote here is from Carl Linnaeus. If a tree dies, plant another in its place. Rebirth, interesting. The oracle goes thusly. The future is assured, and hope is all around for whatever is going on at the moment. Now is a brilliant time to work on your vision for the future, on goals, reevaluation, past decisions, also aligning with the energy of love. What is it this month? This is a romantic month for everybody. Especially looking on bringing romantic bonds closer together. Closer together forever and ever. It's Taurus Love Month. I suppose it's no surprise given that we're shifting over into Taurus, which has a whole load of sensuality later in April. Anyway, look at the individual elements of situations a little more closely and be sure that you stand strong in your unique qualities. Keep ideas to yourself at the moment. That's the second time I've heard that as well. We are not oversharing this month, apparently. The use of apple in magic is for immortality, prosperity, love, spirit realms, blockages. Deities associated with it are Hera, Athena, Aphrodite, Pomona, Gaia, Morgana Le Fay, Idun, and Olwyn. Associated with Venus and Capricorn. And you, of course, are associated with Venus. Taurus yourself. So, apple is also associated with Avalon quite strongly. It is considered to be one of the major symbols in Avalon. It's often associated with witchcraft because if you cut an apple in half, it has the pentagram at the centre. It's obviously associated with Eve in the garden because of its knowledge and, unfortunately biting into it. It's often associated with love rituals and magic. I don't know about you, but me as a very small child, a young teenager really, had that divination spell of, there's a few, of peeling an apple all in one peel and throwing it over your shoulder, and it should spell the initial of your future marital partner. Or there was the one about eating an apple, brushing your hair and looking into a mirror at midnight, and you would see your loved one reflected back at you. It's quite often associated with love magic. It's also associated with the other world, eternal life, abundance, prosperity. Let's talk about mythology a little bit. In Norse mythology, apples were connected to the goddess Idun, a spring goddess, who was associated with blossoms. According to the legend, she fed young apples to the other deities to help them remain immortal. At some point, Loki fooled her into turning over the magical apples, and so the other gods and goddesses lost some of their power. They got it back when Loki eventually returned the apples to Idun. For the ancient Greeks, apples were to blame for the Trojan War. Eris, the goddess of chaos, did not receive an invitation to a banquet with the rest of the gods on Olympus. She decided therefore to crash the event and brought a fancy golden apple with her. It was decreed the apple would go to whichever goddess, Hera, Aphrodite, or Athena, was judged fairest by Paris, the prince of Troy. Paris chose Aphrodite as the fairest goddess, and she offered him the lovely Helen of Sparta, wife of King Menelaus, as a thank you. Hera was displeased, so she decided to pay back Paris by doing everything in her power to see Troy destroyed in the war. If you've read any of the Arthurian legends, you probably know Avalon means the Isle of Apples, and it's the place where the significant events take place. The mighty sword Excalibur is forged on Avalon. It's also where Arthur returns when he is mortally wounded by his son, Mordred. It's also associated with harvest, and it is quite often associated with the autumn equinox, which it's not here in the Northern Hemisphere, of course. The apple blossom is associated with immortality, but is also considered a food of the dead. It's interesting. You can, of course, cook it. Nom 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 nom, so delicious. As well as have a wand made out of it. It is also a ogham. You're getting all the information today. So, the ogham is quirk, and it does have some interesting meanings. I kind of really do associate it with like beauty, and that's going to be important in Taurus season. So, Manannán, king of the land of promise, gives Cormac a magical sleep-inducing silver branch with 3 golden apples, and before long Cormac travels to the other world, where he discovers a marvellous fountain containing salmon, hazelnuts, and the water of knowledge. According to Robert Ellison's Ogham, The Secret Language of Druids, it represents the other world and choice, as well as love, fertility, divination, and fairy contact, often associated with madness. The madness section does come in with Taliesin, Merlin, which I've actually mentioned him already, and it's associated in his myth with him losing his marbles a little bit and kind of going into this shamanic state. That's not what I think is going to happen, but there is like this fae element. So I want to read to you the Fairy Faith for Celtic Countries by W.V. Evans Vence. To enter the otherworld before an appointed hour marked by death, a passport was necessary, usually a silver branch of the sacred apple tree bearing blossoms or fruit, which the Queen of the land of ever-living and the ever-young gives to mortals she wishes for as companions. Sometimes it was a single apple without a branch. So that's a more sort of Celtic idea of like the apple being a key to the other world, a key to travel, journeys, insight, information, and wisdom. So continuance is an interesting word to be used here. And it kind of really feels like it is stepping into a magical role of yourself. Who are you in a magical sense? Are you wishing to connect to the other world, spirits, guides, plants? Are you wishing to draw down all the powers into yourself? Now, I'm going to share a little bit about what I think about Taurus energy. I have a Taurus moon, and I've talked about this on Patreon in the past, and I do bring it up. I feel like the earth signs all get this really bad rap, and Taurus is a lover of beauty and a lover of physical manifestation in the world, of art, of very tangible gorgeousness and manifestation. And there is a lot to be said about the presentation of the spiritual through the tactile. It gets written off as greedy and lazy and all this nonsense by a lot of astrology, and I don't agree with that. I think there is a sumptuousness, a sexual nature, a reveredness of that part of the self, of touch, of taste. And I think those are 2 elements that, of course, they can be abused like anything else. Like, of course, you can gorge yourself on anything. But when used appropriately, there is a sensual nature of it. And that comes into that otherworldly, queen-like sovereignty vibe from the mythology in the Celtic tradition. And beauty doesn't have to be shallow and skin deep either. You can be talking about the beauty in nature, the beauty in the soul, the beauty in the heart, deep within, the poetry that moves you. So really this month for you guys, I want you to really think about stepping into yourself, stepping into your power, honouring all the different sensual aspects of yourself and what brings you joy and awareness of the world around you. Check out your moon and rising sign as well, of course, for a little bit more information maybe on where that might be coming about for you personally. But just really own that part of yourself. You're a magical being, my darling, and you deserve to be celebrated as such. If you would like to hear more, you can hear more over on Patreon for a weekly reading, or if you're on the correct tier, you can have a personal reading once a month, which is pretty great. Patreon is the place to be. It means you can support me, and it also means that each month we look at a particular goddess cycle, and we do a lot of work with a particular plant spirit each month. So if you would like to hear more about the Morrigan and the plant spirit of the month, which will be Dandelion, then come on over to Patreon. Many blessings, my darlings, and I'll talk to you soon.